Welcome back to another episode of the PVM focused Ultimate Ironman. In the last episode, we focused on getting the upgraded rune pouch from the Tombs of Amascut, which we successfully did after just a few entry modes and a few normal mode KC. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy. So I figured real quick, actually, before we kind of wrap this up, I would talk about the loot and the drops from just the general grind. You can also see that we did get one of each God Sword shard from just Bandos alone, not even the minions. From just Bandos, we got a completed blade, and that's pretty cool to see as well. Now, as for everything else, I didn't really pick up anything that wasn't a rune item, and the rune items I basically just sold off to the general store on my trips to generate a little bit of GP. Wow, we've just broken 400 mil GP value of our items now, which is crazy. One of the first things we're going to be doing is we're dropping the Din's Bulwark. Now, honestly, I don't even really know what the Din's Bulwark is used for. Yeah, this just seems like a no-brainer. I was kind of holding on to it just because it looked cool and I had some room in my bag, but my bag is getting pretty cluttered, and I figure this is definitely one of the first things I can just drop and get rid of. Alright, so I think what the plan actually is going to be for right now is I'm going to use up the Irrits and the Catentines just to free up those two spaces, because they're going to be sitting there for a while if I don't. So the next thing that we're going to do is, while we're doing a little bit of farming, we're going to just work on getting the Lovakang favor being maxed, because apparently to do a Kingdom Divided you need 20% for the Forsaken Tower, but then you actually still have to do the Architectural Alliance mini quest, which requires 100% in all houses. Fortunately, we have the rest of them, and apparently there is a pretty decent method here where I'm at, where you can just AFK mine sulfur in certain areas. Well, apparently we need to go and get our Slayer helmet, which is unfortunate because I did not think we needed that. So I guess if you're mining on this specific tile and you have the spider attacking you, that these clouds will never actually hit you anymore. They'll actually just path perfectly around you like you see them doing now, which, to be honest, I'm not quite sure why that's a thing, but apparently it is a thing. So missing the level as always, but that's 84 farming. Okay, I never did this when I got to 99 defense, but I guess if we talk to the tutor here, we can get the skill cape. And the reason why I'm getting the skill cape is just to put it in the house, but also because I can wear it right now just in case I DC while getting the rest of this Lovakang favor. I was actually thinking about it, and I was like, if I DC and the spider gets off of me, then I can be hit by the clouds and die really fast. So definitely just want to have this, but since it only hits, you know, I think between like 2s and 3s, this is probably good for me to have so that I don't die. And while we're on the subject of capes, I figured I would talk to the armor salesman in the ranging guild so I can get my ranging cape as well. So the ranging cape is definitely more significant than the defense cape, but we'll revisit this in a little bit and talk about what we're going to do with it at some point. We finished up 90% Lovakang favor, and that's where we're going to stop, because if we do the Forsaken Tower quest, we get 10% as a reward from that quest, so that'll put us at 100%. That was probably like the fastest quest I've done that is over in Zaya. That was really, really quick. But we got that knocked out. Now we need to go figure out how to do the Architectural Alliance. I guess we should read this Lovakang favor. And there we go, 100%. Alright, looks like we got everyone here. Everyone ready to build this really big statue? Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen what this truly looks like. That's kind of cool. Well, you know what? That king dying, or whoever they were, not really my problem. I got the quest done. Alright, and this quest is important because this gives us a couple of things. One of them I've been putting off for a little bit of time, but I need to use up these Wrath runes. In order to use the Wrath runes, we needed to do a Kingdom Divided to get the Book of the Dead, which gives us a lot of different spells, which I'll be showing in a little bit. Now, in order to build the Dark Altar, we need to get 5,000 Blood runes and 5,000 Soul runes, which is going to cost us quite a bit of GP. And we're already starting to dwindle our GP stack much faster than I thought. Alright, I wasn't paying attention. I bought a little bit too much runes, but this combined with what's in the looting bag should be enough for the 5,000 that we need. And so we are going to go and get the rest of the pieces for building this, but before we do that, I'm actually going to go and get my dragon boots back because I out them thinking that I was not going to need them anytime soon. So we've got our dragon boots now, and we've got the rest of the supplies to make the altar in the house, which is nice. We're going to go and do that shortly. But I just want to say, this is the first time that we've basically got our new melee setup on, which is the chest plate and the tassets, as well as the dragon boots. We don't have our defender, it's in the stash, but my goodness, this looks insane. I accidentally messed up and missed recording myself creating the dark altar, but I figured I'll explain why we did this and what the nice little use of it is. So the dark altar in particular is not really super useful as an altar. Typically for the altars you can build in the player-owned house, outside of the occult altar, obviously, the ancient altar is usually the go-to because ancient magics is kind of the farthest away to get to. It's a little bit annoying, and yeah, it's just nice to have that in your house. However, I have the magic cape here, and the magic cape really already does what an occult altar would do, but it gives it to you in only 5 charges per day. Now, normally, without an altar built in the house, any altar, you would have to spend 2 charges to switch to the spellbook you want to go to, and then switching back to standard using the magic cape again. So that means that really, you can only use it twice a day if you wanted to do something where you needed to go on Ancients and then switch back to Standard after, and then go to Ancients and then switch back to Standard. You'd only be able to do that twice. Now, the reason why the altar is nice is because I don't really need an occult altar, because now with just even the basic dark altar built, I can switch to, say, Lunars, for example, and now that I'm on Lunars, if I want to switch back, I don't need to use the magic cape to switch back. I can actually use the dark altar and I can click Standard, and that will just put me back to Standard. With that being said, we are going to go and use our Wrath runes to do Sinister Offering. We're going to go be killing green and blue dragons in the Myths Guild and using up the 250 or so Wrath runes that we have, because we've been holding on to those for a little while and we just want to clear up the space. So once you have 3 dragon bones, you can cast Sinister Offering and you get 828 total experience, with I think like 640 of that being for prayer, which is incredible. We just finished using up all of the Wrath runes that we had, so yeah, we got a pretty solid amount of experience. We are halfway to 77. We are back at the Tombs of Amascut, and I've already done a few tombs now. I don't know if there's a way for us to see. I guess we can go and look at our collection log. So currently we are at 13 regular completions and 14 entries, which is kind of where we left off. I've done maybe like 6 or 7 regular Tombs of Amascut. I can't remember what Casey I started at, but I've done a few. So with that, I've been trying to play around a lot more with some of the invocations and setting up different levels. Anyways, though, this is the setup I'm going with. I'm just pre-potting a ranged pot, and then I am going and pre-potting a super combat potion as well. And really all that's changed from last time is I think I had mystics before because I was just doing a few of these, so I brought my Arams now. So ultimately the reason why we are here is we want the fang. This is ultimately the drop I'm after right now. Obviously some of the bigger items would be cool to get, but I think I'd rather get the fang right now. So I think ultimately what our goal is we're going to be doing Tombs of Amascut, probably mostly in solos, but we may do a few duos and other team raids here and there. Well, that was probably one of my fastest Baba room, like actual bosses. That was a 1 minute 50-second Baba with 2 huge BGS specs landing. I actually still have no real idea what the BGS does when you're here. I know that it lowers some of the boss's defenses a bit, but I think most of them have a cap of like how much it can be lowered, and some of them regen their defense, and I actually just have no idea. Well, I did my first 200 solo no death. This was with Walk the Path for the 50 additional levels, so I'm basically just doing my 150 but with Walk the Path, and it was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even realize I only had 1 extra dose of ambrosia. I thought you got 2 ambrosias, but I guess with walk the path and the higher invocation, you don't get 2 ambrosias with the life one. Overall, for pretty rough loot as well. So a cool little tidbit for this room that I actually just really had no idea in the beginning, because I was getting so frustrated by these statues and getting hit and losing my water. But you can see that when you run with True Tile Indicator, you actually skip a tile. So if I start here, you can see that my character is actually never even in the tiles to get hit by the spikes, which means that it doesn't really matter when I run. I can run like this and I'll never be hit. Also, the really annoying part about Akka is just that I can never get, no matter how quick I am, I can never do a 2 cycle of this puzzle, which just adds an extra minute or more to my raid. I don't know if maybe to get a 2 cycle I would just need a dragon pickaxe, which to be honest I probably should go get at some point now that it is storable here. Holy moly, that is a lot of seeds. 8 Ranars, 6 Torsals, and 10 Toadflax. That's pretty good. Actually, this would have been insane if this was Snapdragons. That would have been like probably one of the most valuable rewards I've gotten so far. I've been using a ton of inventory tags lately to just help myself visualize, you know, where my switches and stuff are, but it's pretty useful. But at the same time, it makes my inventory look so ugly. Wow, that was a really big PB over what our previous one was. I think our previous PB was like 31 minutes, maybe even 32. So one thing I didn't know is you can actually body block this guy. Oh, well, I killed it anyways, so I guess I'll have to show you in another clip. So one thing I didn't know is that you can actually body block this crocodile, which is weird because most NPCs, I don't believe you can really do this, or I'm not sure if it's just based on how he paths to the tree. But yeah, just as a tip, you can actually stand in front of the crocodile to stop him from getting there, and you can just kill him. So you can typically do a 2 cycle if you don't get hit by any of the statues or anything. Holy moly, this raid is tilting me! Alright, there's KC number 36. Also, for anyone who's pretty new to doing Tombs of Amascut, I think doing Zabak's Phantom as well as Baba's is a little bit easier actually after doing a decent amount of both of them. I think Zabak does a lot of the same attacks for a really long time in a row. Wow, that is a lot of good seeds. 14 Torsals. That's actually really good. We definitely want more Torsals. We've been getting a decent amount of Toadflax and we just got more now, but Torsals is something we want a lot of because getting Torsals is not easy. Wow, another drop of Torsals. That's like 3 or maybe even 4 raids back to back with a Torsal seed drop, which is actually really good. That is KC number 50. And that is going to be where we're ending our Tombs of Amascut journey for now. We're going to make this real dramatic for the final KC. No deaths in this raid. We're just going to give it a nice walk up to the chamber. Oh, there's no way that this happens right when I hit 50 KC and I am going to take a break. Actually, as long as it is not a light bearer, I think I'll be happy with anything. Quite unfortunate that it was the light bearer. I know I just said that that was the one item I didn't want to get. And unfortunately, that is the same weighting as getting the fang, so it's pretty much a 50-50 of whether it was going to be a light bearer or a fang. I honestly am not certain of where Lightbearer is really useful. it is a pretty interesting ring, and I'm sure that people will come up with some pretty creative ways to use Lightbearer and make it very good. I guess we'll recap quickly where we're at with Tombs of Amascut, the log, and everything. That is 50 Tombs of Amascut normal completions and 14 entry modes. So 64 for my first unique, if we're not counting the thread of Elidinus, which I don't. But yeah, no gems, which is not really that dry. I think at the time of recording this, they have not announced any drop rates at all. But yeah, the Lightbearer as well as the Fang is basically Tombs of Amascut's version of having Rigor and Augury. They're both the most common drop, and they're both weighted equally. Now, if we put on screen here, you can see that we have the loot from the last 67 Tombs of Amascut, and yeah, I mean, all things considered, 41.5 million GP, with a big chunk of that being the Lightbearer. But we got a solid amount of seeds. If we look in the looting bag, I have them on me as well. 63 torsals is really my main takeaway from this. This is huge. Then on top of that, the other notable thing is that we basically profited, I believe, in Snapdragons used. Overall, Tombs of Amascut is done for now for my account. We're going to come back at some point. Man, every time I think I'm done with farming and making ultra compost, I just come right back to it. I have so many seeds again. I was really thinking I was going to drop the seed box, but honestly at this point, there's like no reason to drop it because I'm just going to get more seeds from doing more Tombs of Amascut in the future. We are just working on a little bit of agility and mostly farming out all the seeds we got from Tombs of Amascut because there was a decent amount of them. And I figure in the meantime, we'll just do a little bit of agility. And specifically, we're going to stop at 77. And the reason we're going to stop at 77 is because that means we could +3 boost to 80 to use the Cerberus shortcut, which, to be honest, not sure if we'll do Cerberus, but would be nice to have that ability. And I don't really want to do a whole lot of agility right now. I just figured I'd get one level while I'm farming out a little bit of these seeds. All right, and by climbing this wall, we will get to 77 agility. We are going to get 85 farming, which is a cool level to get because that means we no longer have to boost with these garden pies, which are not hard to get, but we don't have to do that anymore in order to grow torsals. As you can see here, it also means we get access to the highest tier of the farming guild, which is also, again, not something super big, but it does have its benefits. Okay, that was the last of all of our seeds, so we have no seeds left now, none in the looting bag, and I guess I can just go over the herbs we got. So we got 574 torsals, which is a good amount, and then a lot of other herbs, almost 1,000 toadflax. We already had like 700 or so, so that is a ton of toadflax. We're gonna need to kill a lot of mole now, and then we got a good amount of snapdragons and ranars, which I am actually excited to have a good potion stack again for per potions. Hello. I think it has been about 2 months or so since the last clip, and as you can see, I'm still basically where I was 2 months ago. That's because I haven't been playing. I've been taking a break from RuneScape, just as I always do. Figured I would just mention that this is kind of where I'm at. I'm still just doing mole. I am really just going to be doing enough mole, I think, until I have all the herbs I need for one more Herblore level, so until I can get to 87. Technically, if we look at my stacks, I actually already have that banked. If we look at like the dwarf weeds and include those in, but I don't want to use the dwarf weeds. It's not really what I'm looking to do because I don't really want to go get wines right now and get myself set up for that. So instead, we're just doing a little bit of mole. I haven't been playing lately, so I haven't really been keeping up with a lot of the updates that have been going on. But this is a really cool one at the Tower of Life. I'm assuming it's at all of the stations. But basically now when you click, it will actually just take your supplies and immediately skip the dialogue and let it go. So this makes it way more AFK because you can just turn on auto retaliate, just sit here, and it's going to basically do it for you, which is really nice because before, you know, you'd have to hit spacebar, go through the dialogue, and then I think the spawning time actually was a little bit longer as well. Now it's basically instant. Wait. I've been mindlessly doing this for over 30 minutes, and I just realized they removed the tree right here. Wow, it must have been a really long time since I've been playing actively, because when did they do this? With this cleaning of the dwarf weed, this will get me to 87 Herblore. Now this isn't a super critical level, I've probably mentioned it before, but really this is just a quality of life for us. This will make boosting for making super combat potions a little bit less tedious, because now I'll have a 1 level buffer, and if we combine that with preserve, that will last even longer, so that's really nice because we're gonna have to make a pretty good amount of super combats with the amount of torsals we have now. And on top of that, 87 is nice because, as you can see, we can make anti-venom potions now without having to boost. And that's going to be significant because we're going to go back to Zulrah right now, which is really the next plan, so we're going to get geared for that in just a moment and talk about it.